Welcome to Subconscious Conversations, where we take a look into the intricate world of the subconscious mind and how to heal the body, mind, heart, and spirit through its wisdom and guidance. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. I'm Brielle, and I'm the soul practitioner at Springseed Wellness, where I practice the energy medicine techniques of Soul Survey, which I created myself, and Emotion Code, Body Code, and Belief Code, which were created by Dr. Bradley Nelson, as well as Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique, which was created by Dolores Cannon. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about belief systems. Now, most of us think of belief systems in the context of religious beliefs or spiritual beliefs. And while those beliefs can shape the foundation of our lives, we need to also realize that there are a vast amount of personal beliefs that we have programmed inside of us that control basically everything we do. It goes far beyond our spiritual or religious beliefs. And belief systems can form in different ways. There are belief systems that you develop yourself through your own personal experiences. There are beliefs you develop from being told various things as a child. And there are belief systems that you can even inherit, which most people don't realize. I never realized before. I kind of have this weird thing with me personally where I love to have my beliefs challenged because I feel that's where I grow the most. In those moments, I can either end up feeling even more conviction in my beliefs, or I can open my mind to see something from a new perspective that I previously hadn't even considered. But either way, I feel like I come out of those situations a wiser and better person. And I think beliefs are kind of meant to be challenged because if we're never challenged, we never grow, and life is about growing and expanding our understanding. However, our beliefs can also cause many challenges in our lives that are really unnecessary. And that makes it even more important to challenge our beliefs because they could be the very thing making our lives more difficult. And what I'm really getting at when I say challenging our beliefs is challenging ourselves to see things in a new perspective, to be open to other possibilities, and to be open to letting go of beliefs that no longer serve us. I'm not trying to tell anyone not to believe what they do or to always question themselves. I don't think we could be happy if we lived that way. But it's really important to find a healthy balance between convictions in your personal beliefs, an open mind enough to evolve within those beliefs, and the insight to know when irrelevant beliefs need to be removed. You know, most people don't realize how early in life we start to form different beliefs. And we've all heard how little kids are just like sponges absorbing everything around them. But we've all also been in many situations, especially with babies, where all the adults act as if the baby or the child isn't paying any attention to what's being said or done, or that they're too young to understand. But children really are little sponges, and it starts from the second they're born. Or actually, in the case of inherited beliefs, it starts before they're born. But they absorb everything around them all the time. That's how they learn to be human, how they learn to survive, how they learn everything. And I never knew until I went through my belief code training that kids don't even develop their conscious mind until about the age of 7. So everything they hear and experience up until the age of 7 goes straight into their subconscious mind as absolute factual beliefs. And they have no capacity of reasoning and discerning what is truth and what isn't. So it's really imperative that we be incredibly careful of what we say and do around babies and children because is literally forming their beliefs, which informs their reality, which controls their actions and behaviors throughout life. And now, knowing that, I can totally look back on my life and clearly see how different things at different ages have affected me in different ways. And I really get a good picture of that through my belief code sessions as well. And it's really fascinating and healing to start putting all the pieces of the puzzle together and get a clear view of the bigger picture of my life. So, hopefully, you're starting to get a sense of just how deeply important our belief systems are. You know, they start forming from the moment we're born, and they get compounded on as we experience more and more things throughout our lives. So, belief systems in themselves are ever changing, evolving, growing, and they control everything we do. So, it's really important to make sure that your belief systems are in line with what you want in your life right now. Because that's another thing that a lot of people don't realize is that even if you think you've consciously changed your beliefs, that outdated program is oftentimes still running in your subconscious mind. And when you have a belief program still running that's no longer congruent with what you currently want to believe, it causes a really big internal conflict. And you might start self-sabotaging in a variety of ways because part of you doesn't believe the new thing. It's still being told to believe the old thing. Now, that sounds kind of confusing, so I'll give you a few examples to clarify what I'm trying to say here. So, say someone is raised in a religious family, but they decide they no longer agree with the teachings of that religion, so they stop practicing it. But those belief systems of that religion are still running in the subconscious mind. So you can see how that could cause a lot of internal conflict. Now, likewise, if you were always told you would amount to nothing, you might try to prove otherwise and keep pushing forward and accomplish things. And you'll accomplish things, but in part of your mind, you're still getting that message that you will amount to nothing. And before you know it, you start self-sabotaging in order to comply with that incorrect belief that's running in your subconscious mind. Or let's say you're 5 years old and your mom's friend is going through a divorce and you hear her say that men can't be trusted. You might not even really remember hearing her say that, but it went into your subconscious mind as a factual belief. And you're completely unaware of this belief running in your mind, yet you can't seem to have a successful relationship. So it is incredibly important to clear those invalid or outdated belief systems from your mind because they will still control your actions and reactions in life, even if you don't consciously recognize that they're even there. And that's why it's really important to make sure and clear out any faulty belief systems, because your actions will follow suit with your beliefs whether you realize it or not. And therefore, your beliefs will become your true reality. So you really want to make sure that you create a good reality for yourself. And in case you still need convincing how important it is to manage your belief systems, let's take a look at it from a biological standpoint. So we now know that you can take two proteins that are identical, and depending on the conditions you expose them to, depends on what type of tissue they end up forming. Well, your belief systems create the conditions within your body which directly influence the health of your cells and therefore the health of your body. Your belief systems control your thoughts provoke your emotions elicit physical responses, and all of this is happening with electrochemical signals that flow through your whole body. And if your belief systems are such that you view yourself in a negative way or you view the world in a negative way, you're constantly bathing the cells in your body in a negative environment, which alters how well they function and how they're expressed. And you end up developing symptoms and disease. For example, let's say you were raised in a dangerous area, so you were always taught to be hypervigilant with your surroundings to ensure your safety. But now you're an adult living in a safe neighborhood, but you still have that hypervigilant belief system running in the back of your mind, making you on guard all the time. This puts your body in a frequent, if not constant, state of alert. And that mental and emotional state creates an internal environment of stress hormones, and you find yourself kind of stuck in fight, flight, or freeze mode. And that causes a situation in your body where you're operating from your sympathetic nervous system, where your heart rate and respiration increase and your digestive capabilities drastically decrease, and your body tenses up and so forth. And you don't get ample time to truly rest and recover because your brain is constantly telling your body that you're in danger even when you know you're safe. And when your body can't switch back into that parasympathetic state and have the ability to rest and recover, your body becomes increasingly more imbalanced and disease sets in. So the health of your body is directly affected by the health of your mind and your spirit. In Western culture, we're largely taught to think about our mind, body, and souls as separate from one another, but they are one. And I'm so thrilled that science has advanced to the point where we're now seeing a lot of very strong evidence that they are indeed very, very much connected. In fact, what you believe determines what you focus on in your life, and what you focus on, you wire your brain for. In other words, if you spend a lot of time thinking about a negative experience in your life, or you have negative programs running in your mind, you are literally wiring your brain to focus on that negativity, and your neural network makes it easier and easier to bring back those negative thoughts, feelings, and experiences. But if you can resolve those negative programs and heal from those negative experiences enough to get to a point where you're focusing on positive thoughts, feelings, and experiences, you rewire your brain to focus on positivity, and it becomes easier and easier to tap into those thoughts, feelings, and experiences. And that creates a much more positive environment inside your body, and your entire system functions better. It's really kind of strange to realize that you really are the master of your own reality in so many different ways. But it's true, and I love reminding myself of this. And one of the ways I do that is to read a framed copy of a poem that I have that was written by my great-great-grandmother. And I see it more like a morning meditation or a daily inspiration. But my favorite line in that poem is, "I am that which I think I am." And I love that line because it reminds me that what I believe is my reality. I get to choose. And I find it very empowering to realize that my life, what I do, how I feel, how I act, how I react, it's all up to me. I have the power over my life and nobody else does. And I absolutely love that. And yes, when you think about how many beliefs you have from your entire life, it can seem daunting to try and clear that up. But it actually goes a lot quicker than you would think. I have had huge breakthroughs in my healing with Belief Code in relatively few sessions. And I think there's kind of a cascading effect that happens where Once one belief system is gone, other faulty belief systems then start to crumble as well. And not only that, but the belief systems are oftentimes the fuel for other negative associations and interactions in the body. So those start to resolve themselves as well. So it can be a very impactful benefit for sure that kind of continues to benefit more and more over time. Now, that being said, because of that cascading effect, the processing time and intensity after a belief code session might be a little bit heavier and or last a little bit longer, because you're affecting the psyche on a much deeper level and allowing a greater flow of release of all that negative baggage. And sometimes it feels like a huge weight has suddenly been lifted off of you, or that dark cloud above your head has finally cleared out. But sometimes it can feel pretty raw for a while too. But either way, it's a great sign of healing. So just allow yourself to go through it and you'll be better for it. Now, another interesting thing is belief code is also really helpful for animals. They always knew that emotion code and body code were very beneficial for animals, but they weren't really certain about belief code. You know, that kind of seems like a human thing, right? Do animals even form belief systems? Well, yes, they do. That's probably why they're trainable. Now, granted, I've never tried it on any other animal, but I have had a lot of success with my dog through, well, emotion code, body code, and also belief code. He's still totally bonkers. He's a handful. So we're still working on it. But he is way better than he was when we first adopted him from the shelter. So I think it's really amazing to see the temperament and behavior changes in him after each time I work on him. It's really pretty amazing. But I can't guarantee that belief code would be a relevant modality for all pets, but I can vouch for it with dogs at least. And I would imagine it would probably be beneficial for just about any animal. Could be fun to find out anyway. And it's also very beneficial for children, too. Although I would never invade a child's subconscious to try and control their belief systems by any means. I just want to make that very, very clear. But if a child is struggling in any way and their subconscious indicates that it's due to a faulty belief system, the sooner that's cleared out for them, the better. Because the sooner you remove that faulty belief system, the fewer issues it will cause them moving forward. And it really could make the difference between a comfortable life or an uncomfortable life. And anytime I can help someone be more comfortable, I am so happy for that. So, if you think you or your child or your pet could benefit from clearing out those outdated belief systems, just reach out. Thank you so much for joining me today, and please be sure to join me for the next episode where I will be talking about the heart wall. See you then. If you would like to set up a session with me to experience this work for yourself, please go to springseedwellness.com. If you would like to find a practitioner in your local area, please go to discoverhealing.com. And please always feel free to reach out with any questions or specific topics you would like me to address. See you next episode.